I don't know that I sent you a copy of the questions. I listed a couple in the email, but I'm going to read them. So, what role do you think the artists play in the community? Why is participating in the O Group's mission important to you? Did you visit the North Campus Open Space before creating artwork for the show? Do you plan to return to paint there, and why? And then there's some additional questions. How does the O Group focus on environmental conservation inspire your artistic process? And can you share a personal experience or connection that drew you to the North Campus Open Space as a subject? How do you hope your artwork contributes to the community's appreciation for local natural spaces? And you don't have to, you can start with the question, but you can be like a politician and speak to what you really, what's really in your heart. Yeah, that's a very good question. I don't want to answer that. What's important is that. Anyway, apparently our other lady's not here. Maybe this is her. So I think she's by the News Press or something like that. Anyway, here we go. So she'll get here when she gets here. What she told me is that she wanted to do individual interviews with people, and maybe we'll separate, when we can continue this, or we can just watch what she's doing. But I hope you don't mind that this is, we're doing multitasking here. Huh? It works, doesn't it? Who wants to start? Maybe it would be really good to start with Lisa to tell us about the restoration, so I learn more about it. I think we're okay. We don't want to be getting up and opening it when people want to come in. We'll just. This is casual. It's not for. It's just for us.
Just for us.
Just for us.
Well, I mean, as I said at the opening, I love your work. We have lots of it on our walls, all of your work, and I've always dreamed that our restoration project, would be big enough eventually to capture the attention of the Oak Group. And I know there's always, this classic painting from the wooden pier of Devereux Slough that everyone does. And so I'm hoping that there end up being places at North Campus Open Space that become, points that people paint and people look at it and they know exactly what it is and things. And I know we don't have eucalyptus trees in the middle or some of these classic things that define things, but I'm super happy that we got enough irrigation pipe lifted up that you guys felt like it was natural enough to justify painting. And I think what I'd say is that it is different every day, like the lighting, the water level, the spirit, the time of day, and that there's just something magical there every time that I go. And I don't think Ray Hunter's here, right? He's the only one who kind of did this focus on close-up of birds, which is sort of different for what you guys generally do, but the photographers really have captured that. So it's been fun seeing that mix of, what photographers focus on and what painting group focus on. So anyway, I'm just so appreciative that you all selected it, and I hope it continues to be a place on your route that you think about, good lighting this evening. Maybe I'll go there and capture the glow or the reflection of in the water or the fog. Yeah, or the wind. But yeah. So I hope that's what you're thinking of.
You get to choose pass the mic to whoever.
It reminded me of the reason that I was so interested in being part of this group, and gave me a little jolt of pride and energy. So thank you. It was really, really good. In regards to the NCOS, I've been going to that piece of property for probably the last 25 years. I lived not far from there in Goleta for a while and would go over to the Monarch Butterfly Preserve, and then walk towards Devereaux from there. And over the last few years, I remember when the project was just beginning, and it sort of looked like a construction zone for a little while. And then you planted all these little saplings here and there, and I'm thinking, okay, well, this place really has some potential somewhere down the line. And lo and behold, this last year, the last couple of years of rainfall and the new flow of fresh water into the area, it's just sprung back to life in a way that I never thought it could actually happen so beautifully. So it's going to be one of my go-tos from now on. And the fact that it is connected to the butterfly preserve really adds this extra length to the property that is, I mean, God, we can just go on from there to the ranch, next ranch after that. And kind of reminds me of Carpinteria Bluffs in terms of, where do you stop? Nowhere. Keep moving. Get more property associated with this. So anyhow, thanks for the project. You guys did a beautiful job. So, any other things that I need to respond to?
It's whatever you want to say.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to hand this off.
I'm Linda Muty, and I grew up in Santa Barbara in the early 50s. And it was a time when you got on your horse and you could ride anywhere. There was so much open space. And it gives me goosebumps right now. Just, you could ride, and being in nature was so special and healing and wonderful, and such good memories and just joy. So to be part of a group, the Oak Group, that continues to help preserve those lands or regain them is just, it's an amazing thing. And I'm so humbled and honored to be part of that. And I did the same thing that Rick did. I would go to the Butterfly Preserve and walk the trails, hoping I didn't get lost, to get back to the other side where, the new North Campus open space is. And I will say I did hit a few golf balls at the golf course. But I would much rather go out there and paint. And so I'm so grateful to see that reclaimed. It's so special. Devereaux, that whole area is so special and beautiful. And to see the wildlife, the birds, I'm a birder too, to see that happening is just, it's amazing. And I thank you all, and I'm so honored to be with all you very special people. And that is that. So I'll just pass it to my friend John.
Thanks, Linda. Yeah, I'm John Wolperat, and Larry Nimber, thank you for recording this. This is a really special thing to be able to be with this group of artists, and I just wanted to say that I did not know Ray Strong, and I've gotten to know him through the association with the painters in this group and the stories that have been told through the past 7 years that it's been my honor to be part of this group. I do know Arturo Teo very well, and what an incredible human being he is, and we're so lucky to have him and Rick Sloss and all of them. I don't want to leave anyone out, but it's really an honor. I'd like to mention a little bit about myself as a painter. Starting out as a child, I did a lot of drawing, and I got to go to some really wonderful places in this area, having grown up in Carpinteria and spending a lot of time in Santa Barbara. My grandparents lived not that far from Devereaux, and my grandfather was a carpenter at the Devereaux School. So that region was an area where I got to go and play. I remember there being a pirate boat made for kids to play in, hidden out in the dunes. But back to the Oak Group and what the Oak Group is about. As a teenager, I had the good fortune of knowing people in Carpinteria who were the very first people who tried to initiate the effort to save the bluffs. And so I did the first little pen and ink drawing that became the poster, the initial poster for trying to save the bluffs, having no idea that eventually there would be some true artists that would come along and be the ones that actually did the job. Now here we are at the Faulkner Gallery, and I did go to Santa Barbara City College, and I took a painting class with Bob Frame and a drawing class with Ken Knack, and one of my paintings ended up in a show that ended up here hanging in the Faulkner Gallery, probably in the early 70s. I didn't get to show again here until I was invited into the Oak Group. So it's a really wonderful experience to be here in this circle, to be here in this room, and I thank those of you who created the Oak Group to allow me to join.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to have you. I'm Rick Schloss, and I started painting in 1972, and I lived in Isla Vista for 10 years, and I used to go out and paint at Devereaux all the time. I'm right out on my bicycle, you know. But back then I felt like I was the only one painting landscapes, you know, because nobody at the university, nobody was doing that. Everybody was doing big, abstract, ugly things. And but I'm serious, because if your painting was too pretty, you were put down for that. You were criticized because that meant you were a Sunday painter, you know, a little old lady painting flowers or something. So being a landscape painter was kind of an anomaly. And Devereaux, I used to go out there because it's one of the only places in Santa Barbara area with still water. I've always loved still water. The Bird Refuge is the only other place really that I can think of that has still water. So I used to go out there and paint. I used to take models out there because, you know, to do the Renoir thing, you know, having a model and the light flickering through the trees and all that stuff. And that was a place you could do it because nobody was there, you know, and we would go out in the woods there. But anyway, so I used to go out there a lot. And based on, I know Lisa just said, it's wonderful because it's different every time you're there. It's different every day. But I had the opposite experience because I used to go out and paint that tree all the time, way back. And it looks exactly the same, you know. That tree is still, you know, it's really good. And look at all these great paintings of that tree, you know. And so I used to do that a lot. But the other thing about the Oak Group was back then, you know, no computers and no internet and all that. I felt like I was alone, like I was the only one painting landscapes. Everybody was doing this other stuff. Little did I know there were a lot of people out there painting landscapes. I just didn't know, right? But I always felt like history is not going to write about us. History, me in particular, history is not going to care because art is all about what's next. It's all about the future and the future. And I was kind of a throwback to the past, you know. I liked old people been painting landscapes for hundreds of years. And so painting landscapes was kind of backward looking, past thing. And so I always thought history doesn't care about that, but it's what I like to do. And then really through the 80s, I was still painting, and I still didn't really know about other people. until the Oak Group started, right? And then we went and met at Loon Point, and all of a sudden, it was like there are a lot of people doing the same thing that I'm doing. But then there was something else. I never liked groups. I didn't want to be part of a group. I was a looner. But this was a group that was doing something, something for the environment. And that was wonderful, and I loved the idea of that. Now my attitude has changed, because I now think that we're part of history. Because landscape painting used to be a certain thing, and now it's all environmental. Anytime you read an artist's statement about paintings, landscape paintings, they always talk about the environment. And it's always about protecting open space. And that, I like to say we started it, but I'm sure it started everywhere at the same time. But artists focusing on preserving open space and the environment is a new thing, and I think that's going to be historical. I think people will actually care about that, which is good news, So I think that's all I have to say for now, but I really appreciate that. Well, when I used to go out to Devereaux, like a lot of people, it was a golf course there, and there was only that one little spot where the tree is and the wooden bridge, that was really nice for painting. But now there's this whole new area opened up, and the golf course is gone. I love that. So it's a wonderful place, and I really appreciate the work that you're all doing. Okay.
I'll let the artist talk first. I'm suffering from the fact that I am thinking of 20 things at once. I want to respond to something that each of you has said. But first of all, about NCOS, I mean, I've painted the Goleta estuary from looking up the estuary. And the thing I always say about that is I could go there every day, any time of day, and it's going to be different. And part of it, which I think you left out of what you said, Lisa, is the amount of rainfall and the wind. So if it's a still day and there's been a lot of rain, the water is full, there's reflections, it's calming, it's more water than land in your view from that special place that Rick talked about by the bridge where we can all see the tree. And every single day is special. And I know I have paintings that I did with Michael Drury and John Comer at least maybe a couple years after we started the Oak Group. You started the Oak Group. Long ago. I still have images of those paintings of the same two stumps and the trees in my library of images. But I just want to say also, as far as the founding, Arturo was doing this before the Oak Group existed on a one-person basis. You had a show, as I recall. Isn't that right?
Yeah, at the library.
Yeah, you had a show that was to support saving the carpentry of Bluffs from being built on. And you had that before we got together as a group, and I think that was, yes, and I think that was one of the main things many of us were thinking about, what you had done when we decided, instead of just being an open air club, we would be painting for the environment. So that's all I have to say.
I am not a speaker. I'm sorry. I'm just not a speaker, but
It's not about that, but whatever you want. And Rebecca, for sure, we're going to pass the mic to you at some point. Okay. Well, I also want to thank everybody for what you've said, especially John, Rick, you're absolutely right. We might have been the first organized group that really focused on doing benefit shows for the environment. And it was more than just the Oak Group starting with the idea. It was actually in the air that artists, musicians were doing benefit concerts for farmers, that was the big one at the time. So that was an inspiration to the Oak Group doing a benefit show that wasn't just, selling whatever kind of paintings, but something that really focused on the land that we loved and wanted to preserve. And yeah, you're right, I did have a show that I called the landscape as an endangered species. So then we went to endangered landscapes from there. But also the Iwerks brothers were doing that kind of show. So it was in the air that we were concerned to be losing the lands that we love to paint. There were a lot of areas, as you know, in Santa Barbara in the early 80s that were, 80 acres, 100 acres that we knew were in the process of being developed or being talked about development. And we love to paint those places like the Wilcox property. That was the first big victory and was the first one that we got completely concerned about, and we really worked hard. We had a special show called Works of Wilcox that we did in 97. And that was the first time that we expanded. The Oak Group was at first, the idea was to have 7 people, but then by the time we came to our first show at the Museum of Natural History, we became 16 people. And then for Works of Wilcox, we had a lot of guests. We had a lot more even. Do you remember Marjorie Portnow from New York? She was part of it, yeah. Anyway, she befriended myself and Ray Strong, and we used to go painting. And she, and somehow we ended up at the, what is that artist magazine? Now I forget. American Artist, yeah. But I think that was through your connection.
I wrote to Steve Doherty,
Yeah.
who was the editor then, and he wrote a really nice article for us. I think it was around 96.
Yes. So from the beginning, we knew that we would make a difference. And we continued believing that there was some feeling that what we were doing was the right thing to be doing. And Ray Strong always said, well, paint for a purpose. And that was what we consistently decided to do. There was many aspects of the Oak Group that I just absolutely love. The aspect of camaraderie, the aspect of working together for a purpose. I just love now the hanging days, the way this comes together, it's just really, visually, it really shows us having a vision and a purpose. And it's just like you walk in this room and you realize, hey, look at this. They have it, they get it. And it's not totally at all what I was going to talk about. But whatever comes through. I think that's it for now. I saw that Juliet came in. We're about to finish this round, and then you can go ahead and interview people singly if you like. This is Meredith Abbott.
This is Meredith Abbott. I think you've said it all. I think it's wonderful to be in this group and to be able to paint for a cause. So,
this is Whitney Abbott. I remember Lisa talking about the North Campus open space years ago, and how fun it would be to do an Oak Group show. And I remember seeing it evolve from, as you said, like the construction phase to the small little saplings. And it was always kind of in the back of my head. And I think the timing for this show was perfect, because it's blossomed into this place that is paintable, that reflects the different seasons, and we can celebrate it. And I love looking around and seeing the yellow moss on Michael's paintings here, and then Rick has a painting over there with the green moss. It's like the same vision, but totally different palette, because the season was changed. The season had changed, and sometimes the tide is low and sometimes the tide is high. Or Marcia, I think you have a painting with those two remnants of the pier sticking out, and Rebecca painted it too. Yes, yours is there, and Rebecca's. And I love comparing and contrasting the view. It's just been such a fun project to be here. I also like the idea that we're tying in Santa Barbara's watershed to this place that is sort of the meeting point of the ocean and the streams running down from our foothills. It's just something so magical about the fact that still exists and is now preserved in perpetuity, it's pretty special. And I'm so happy to be part of this group that is making it, educating our people, our public. Rebecca, you should talk.
This is Marcia Bird again. One of the things that I love so much about the estuarine areas is that the water is brackish. You know, sometimes it's very, very, it's rainwater coming through in the spring and the winter and the spring, and so the water is much fresher. And then as the water level gets lower, and first the ocean can come in, and then the water level gets really lower as the season goes on, and it's more salty and more salty. And the animals and the types of things that live there and the kind of plants, they all are so varied. It's like there's nowhere else on Earth, I don't think, that's as interesting in terms of animal life and botanic life. So that's one thing I love about painting there.
I'm Rebecca August, and I'm a visiting artist with the Oak Group, and I can't say how honored I am to have that opportunity right now. I first heard about the Oak Group 20 years ago when I moved here from New York and Colorado, and it was the most amazing idea to me that a whole group would be doing. I mean, I had heard of Ansel Adams using photographs to advocate for the protection of places, but having a whole group right here in Santa Barbara doing it was just, I mean, it's giving me goosebumps thinking about it. It was so inspiring. And then I went to work doing advocacy directly because I really feel so strongly about environmental protection. But having left that and then having the opportunity to paint, these last months in service of the environment in this way has been just an amazing opportunity with the mentorship and, like you said, the camaraderie. And then the other thing that's been really great is that I can share this project and the work that I'm doing on social media and get to talk about this place. I had never been to the Devereux Slough before. I live in San Ynez Valley, and there's a lot of places that are further south that I had never been. And I learned, through this process of being a guest artist about this place and how special it was. And I went on the field trips that were offered by the university and the Cheadle Center. And it's just, and then I could share that with people in my social groups online about what, and people were like, oh, I want to go visit that. I had several people that had never heard of it and wanted to come down to see it just because I talked about it and shared, and then to get to paint there with inspiring artists that I've admired for so long, and then to be in this room is just, I'm in seventh heaven. So I really appreciate the work that you all have been doing for all of these years, and then continue to do, and you're really a light in the community for environmentalists and also for other artists. So,
sure. I'm Carrie Givens, and I just want to say I prefer listening to what you all have to say, and I appreciate what you all offer, and I'm very proud to be in this group. And the open space, the North Campus open space, I didn't know much about it until we were having this show, and I have so much more appreciation for it. You've given the people, the public, a place to walk out there and just enjoy how wonderful it is out there. So yeah, I just love it, and I'm real happy to be part of the show. So thank you very much.
Comes around. Juliet?
I'm Juliet Lamar with KSBY News. I don't know if the name is here. Who did I meet? Yes, okay, I thought I recognized the two of you. So I'm at YouTube painting, and I went up and asked what they were doing.
You want to have a seat there? Yes.
Sure. I don't need the microphone because it doesn't project. It's just
It's for his camera.
okay.
This is Larry Niemer.
All right, so I'm Juliet Lamar with KSBY News. I met you two lovely ladies out painting just over there, and I wanted to learn more, so that's why I'm here. Is anyone painting today? Not here, but out? Because I think it would be wonderful for the story if I kind of followed one of you out there and I saw someone painting, and then we talked about, I would add this into the story later, would be the exhibit, was kind of what I was after, but also, where are they? It is. So ideally what I was thinking for the story, and it's going to be turned today for the 5 o'clock news, so I'm in a little bit of a time crunch like always, but ideally I would go and film someone out there painting in the field, somewhere that we're working on saving. While we're here, if anyone wants to tell me about the group or about places you've saved or how it all works, that would be fantastic. I can interview someone here, and then, yeah, if you know someone painting, I'm going to head out and go film them doing their thing and kind of make a full circle moment of everything like that. Do you always exhibit here, or is it all around?
We've been exhibiting here for many years, once a year.
Once a year here?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. All right, and this ends on the 31st?
Yes.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Who has their paints in their car?
Or I can go find whoever's in the field if we know who they are. But what we could do for this segment is, if someone's painting today, I know we all have crazy schedules and lives, so if you're not, that's totally fine. Ideally, if someone is available to paint today, maybe I interview them here next to some paintings that they've already done, and then I can also show the whole process. But I don't know how you all feel. I don't know what people's schedules are. Think about it.
My problem is all my stuff is in carpentry. I don't want to go and get it. And you pretty much want to go to this place, right?
It's more so about the group itself.
Yeah.
The fact, because this exhibit is on right now, it's going to be over soon.
Yes.
It's more about the group and the fact, I don't think a lot of people know what plein air painting is or open air painting is. I do, because my parents are artists, but a lot of people don't realize what it is. So they see someone painting out in the field. Why are they doing that? Oh, that's sweet. It's a hobby. But no, you are actually working towards preserving spaces and generating millions of dollars towards that effort. So that's what I wanted to capture was, if you see someone out there painting, it could be a part of this group. This is what the group is, and here's the end result. Yeah.
I have a kit that you can borrow if you want to do. The reason I say that is, I don't know if you remember, but there was a time at Carrizo Plain
Yes.
where I was in San Luis or anything, and I went out there, and you hooked me up. You gave me a whole kit and painting and a canvas to paint on. And then I got to fly back with Bill Dewey on it. That was really cool. But anyway, yeah, I could return the favor, certainly.
If someone was going to paint or whatnot, we could go back.
Books you could use if you wanted to go out.
We don't have to go out to this place. Like, we can honestly go right down the street. Where were you two painting before?
We were at the Presidio.
They were at the Presidio. We could just go to the Presidio. You know?
We were planning to paint this afternoon up at the Gaviota Coast, but we plan to meet other people at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, it's a little late for the 5 o'clock news. But that's okay.
But
But I have a kid if you would like.
I have my paints, and you could go with Rebecca or someone who can go out or wherever you want.
There's no one better than to try talking.
Don't feel any pressure.
And it would be honestly like, it's about, you know, not about me watching you take a painting from nothing to completion. It's not really about that. It's kind of showing just someone out in the field painting. It would probably only do like 10 minutes.
Somebody who knows their kit and knows how to put it together. Which if I'm given a new kit, I want to go. Anyway, if you follow me to Carpinteria, I can do it in a minute, but I don't think that's right.
It's not that far, yeah. What I could do is, I would like to interview a couple of you as well, but if we wanted to follow you as the artist, like, because usually there's a through character, I can interview you here next. Do you have any paintings on display right now?
Yes, I have 5.
So I can interview you next to your paintings, and then I can follow you to Carp, if that fits into your schedule today. And you can kind of set up and just do some painting. I'll film you 10, 15 minutes doing that, and then I'll edit it together. But while I'm here, I can interview anyone here who wants to just talk about the Oak Group or about what you've done so far. I think I was reading $3 million towards saving places. That's incredible. Someone wants to talk about finances. Someone wants to talk about the history of the group, etc. And then you and I can do that painting aspect, following the artist through if you'd like.
Okay.
What's your schedule?
I'm game. I just need to get my dog from the groomer, and that's about it.
Are they in Carpinteria?
Yes.
Perfect then. Okay, cool.
Do you want to have a focus on North Campus Open Space at all? I mean, I feel like that would be really
A focus on
valuable. The art restoration project.
Yes.
You know?
So this current restoration project. Yeah. One more time. What was your question?
Just, are you just focusing on the Oak Group, or would you want to focus on? You don't have to go there, but we have information here and stuff about the project and what this has meant to, the people that are receiving the benefits of this attention.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the cash over 30 years, that's important. I think it's also really important bringing together community and raising the story about these different natural areas and what people are doing to protect them.
I agree with you, and so that how I'd structure the story would be starting off. I have 2 minutes to tell the story. I'm going to film for hours. I'm going to make a 2-minute story. It would probably start off with you and be like, you've been a painter for XYZ. You're part of the Oak Group, so showing him painting. Then it's going to be edited to here at the museum. Part of what the Oak Group does is they save natural places. Currently, the exhibit is this. This is the place they're working to save, and that's exactly what I would then pull in is what's happening now. So I'd love to speak with you all about this particular exhibit as well. So it would start off, who are these people? What are they doing? What's the Oak Group, and what's currently happening? Cool. Does that sound like it would work out? You guys like that presentation of the facts? All right.
I know we have a little iMovie on our website that shows people out.
Who shot that? I'd have to get permission from the person who filmed and edited that.
Right.
That you did? I mean,
I
I
put it
can
together. I didn't do all the individual shots involved.
Okay. Who did?
Well, it's a consortium of different artists that.
Okay. I mean, if we have permission to use it, no problem. But yeah, I have to get permission. I can definitely use clips of it. Give me as much footage as you want.
I mean, it is part of the Oak Group website, so it's out there for public consumption.
Okay. Is it? But I'm going to be distributing it on NBC, so I need to have permission. as long as you give me permission, and that's.
I don't know, it's up to me to give permission.
Okay, well then if it's not, then I need to know who, because I can't use it for NBC events.
I mean, if you are the person that put it online.
I was the person that gave it to Cindy to put it online.
I know, but I mean,
Yeah,
Who would sue me
it's
over
our
content?
website. So
That person who's giving me permission.
we can give you permission.
Okay.
Yeah. Whitney, do you have your paints at all?
Always travel with paints.
Let me just look at the video real quick. It's on the Oak Group, Oak Park.
But yeah,
I want to throw it to you because you were like the person bringing us to the campus, and I'd like to keep it to the North Campus.
You can use mine to pretend. You don't have to actually.
Just, I mean, it really is kind of like just, I'm going to showcase the paint, like the paints on the easel, close-ups of that. A brush, like touching the canvas or getting paint off, right? It's going to be, and I can kind of fake someone painting. I can do that. We don't have to do that. It would just make the story more interesting than if we did it all in here, where it's a gallery. People aren't as drawn in that way. So that's kind of why I'm trying to make it really captivating. But if the video has like natural, is it just
what
music?
time do you, by what time do you need
2:30.
to do this? By 2:30. And where, how close in to here do you need to be?
How close into here?
I mean, what is our range that we can go by 2:30 to the?
Oh, as long as, what did you have in mind?
Well, I'm just thinking about all the places there are and who's
Yeah.
closest to their materials and so forth.
Yeah.
So that, I don't know, it's just, do you need to be 5 minutes away from downtown? Or?
No, I think it would just depend, like if we went out to, this is in near UCSB, right?
Near Costco.
Yeah. I mean, we could go out to this side, right? And that would be a real big tie-in.
I think that would be
Yeah.
the best thing if anyone can do it.
And if not, that's also totally fine. We can make it all in this area if it's too hard.
So I want to say I'm featured a lot with the Oak Group, and I love it, but I think it's time to either have Whitney or actually Rick take this one on. Yeah. Rick, you'll be in history even more. Even more immediately.
All right, I'll do it, sure.
Yeah, I mean, you have the kid.
Well, at home, but it's 5 minutes away.
Well, you're good.
That's fine. I mean, it's 11 o'clock. You know, if we wanted to meet here at the preserve, you tell me where you want to meet. We can meet there in 30, 40 minutes if that works for your schedule.
It sounds like it's going to be like small stuff. It doesn't really matter like the big picture. You know what I mean? We can do something closer that's easier.
Sure, whatever works for you. Trying to make it easy on you all.
Well, it just seems like it's not real.
Are you working on any paintings right now? Do you have any paintings that you're currently
In the studio, not
In the
outside.
studio.
But I mean, if you're just doing something that's generic.
Here's a guy.
Is your studio inside? Is your studio at your
Yeah.
house?
In the gallery, yeah, the gallery on State Street.
Oh, you have a gallery.
You have your paints with
Yes,
you?
but I'm saying instead of maybe going out to the spot, if we have this video I can use of people painting outside, and you have a gallery.
Here we have John. This guy. Tell us your name.
What's the question?
The question is, who are you, and what do you think about going painting with this lovely person?
Hi, John. I'm Juliette Lamar with KSBY News.
Oh,
I'm highlighting this exhibit, what you're doing here for your current, the current preserve that we're talking about, but also the Oak Group in general. So we heard about from everyone here in this round group, and what I would like ideally for the story that's airing tonight at 5 would be to follow one of the artists from going out to the field and painting, like showcasing someone painting, 5 or 10 minutes of that. Then I would, in my editing process, I'd come back to the gallery here, and we would talk about the artworks that are here. But it would be following on the artist all the way through. But I don't know what your availability is today.
Do you have any paints with you?
I do.
John would be great.
Look at this face.
Am I blushing?
Yes.
Yes. Well, I'm John Iwerks. And yes, I have my paints with me. And I am teaching. I'm teaching a class at the San Marcos Foothills at 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock today.
All right, well, can we go paint right now?
Yeah, we could go early. Yeah.
But just let him finish saying his piece for this.
Yeah.
Whatever my piece is. I'm sorry I'm late. I guess everybody has spoken. I'm not sure what to say. I've been a part of.
I don't have the question. I think people were saying what they've enjoyed about the Oak Group, about this particular exhibit and project. I'm not leading it.
You know what to say.
No, you say something.
You say something.
Arturo and I have been friends since before we were an Oak Group. We met through Ray Strong. He was a fantastic teacher in town, a great painter. And he had a loyal following of admirers, students who were taking his classes. And Arturo came up with the idea of let's have a group that we share more than just paint, that we share books and a variety of things, and sort of in the role model of the how the Impressionists began. And so he and Ray said, yeah, well, that sounds like a good idea. And so pretty much our Oak Group started with the people that were already painting with Ray. And our first show, we invited everybody invited one more person, and that show was at the Natural History Museum. And Ray said, well, instead of giving 50% or a percentage to a gallery, let's give it to the museum and help with their lights or something that they've got going. And so we said, that's a great idea. And that sort of launched the idea that we as a group will donate proceeds to environmental groups. And so that was a wonderful opportunity, and it opened many doors. At the time, there were many places in Santa Barbara that were threatened. There was the Wilcox property, there was the Carpinteria Bluffs, there was a place, I think Rick brought us to a place at Padero Lane, and that sort of started, that was our first invitation piece, was sort of a picture of Padero Lane and all the artists running with their paints and bulldozers coming in and pushing down the eucalyptus trees and putting up a sign that says, coming soon, eucalyptus shores. And it was just like, like yeah.
This John's a terrific cartoonist and drawer and humorist, artistic humorist as well as a serious one.
I have a couple of the original shirts.
Yeah.
I never wore them. I kept them pristine.
Oh, good. Mine all became paint rags, I think. And so Arturo came by one day and says, for our next show, it was right after the protests at Tiananmen Square in China, and that famous photograph of one person standing in front of a bunch of tanks and stopping the tanks, and Arturo comes to me and says, I've got an idea. And so we sat down and drew a bunch of bulldozers coming into the Carpinteria Bluffs, and there's Arturo standing right in front of them. And and that became our T-shirt and our invitation for that show. And so we've had a lot of fun in the camaraderie. And I think one thing that launched us in a big way was an artist. I forget her name. She came from the American Artist from back east, and she was here for a summer. Marjorie. She came here for a summer and sort of caught on to, here's a group of painters, and so she joined us, and then she went back to the East Coast and wrote a splendid article about this group of artists that are painting for preservation, and that was nice to have national publicity all of a sudden. And so we all kind of put our ties on and said, well, I guess we better take this seriously. And so one of the best things was I think between Meredith and Glenna Hartman, their relationships to people on the Channel Islands, was that it opened a door that we were able to go to the Santa Cruz Island and paint, and that lasted for maybe over 10 years, and it's still available. But we had shows on Santa Cruz Island, which was like uncalled for, to have all these people boat out from Ventura and be jeeped up to the main ranch and have an art show, and then they all paintings that are sold are put back in their boxes and they all go home, and they have one day show. And so It was real fun. And that opened doors to Malt, up in Marin County, and Big Sur, and the East Sierra. So it's many doors just keep opening, and so it's wonderful. And now it's with the North Campus Open Space, and so that's been a wonderful place to paint. And I think I've said enough.
He just wrote the book. Now you say something.
Now you say something. That's a joke between us. I was taking a TV class at City College, and Arturo was in the hallway, and I'm sort of busy trying to play Mr. Television, and I need somebody to say something. So I hand the mic to Arturo and say, "Now you say something." And he says something, and hands it back to me and says, "Now you say something." So that's become kind of our running joke. And, now you say something.
I've said enough.
I've said it before, but if you look at it, was modeled after like the Impressionists, those old groups of artists that got together. But if you look at those old groups, they lasted a year, maybe 2 years. There were always squabbles, a lot of egos, and people wanted the group to go this way or that way. And so they only lasted a couple of years at the most. The Oak Group has been going for almost 40 years. And the difference, I think, is that those groups were formed against something, against the Academy, trying to do something new. This group was formed for something, right? It's like a marriage where you have squabbles, but there's a commitment, a larger commitment that keeps you together. And I think that's why the Oak Group is special.
And speaking of squabbles, does anybody remember when Tom Van Stein brought that big painting he did of Giverny and put it in the Oak Show? And I remember Michael Drury and one other artist at least being just outraged. And that was the biggest fight we've ever had, I think.
Well, there was also the decision at the beginning, do we open the group to everybody or do we have an elite group, you know? And that was a big squabble. There were people on both sides, you know. I'm thinking of Larry Iwerks in particular, wanted the group open to everybody.
But now that Scape exists, we don't argue about
That's
that.
right. That's right. Now we have
And
that.
Scape is a direct result of Larry because he complained about it so often that some of us had to do something about it. And so there's a group that anybody can be in.
Yeah, that's nice.
It does the same environmental work.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't know if we hijacked this. Is this working out okay? I think she's going to separate now, but we can continue.